Logging on. So hello everybody, wherever you are. Good evening, James and Colin at this point. It's quite late, so I appreciate you guys soldiering through that late. It's 11 p.m. if I'm correct, local time for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Nico. It's a pleasure.
Yes, great.
Thanks.
So yeah, I see people are logging in, so I will just announce a few quick points so everybody knows how this will go. I will quickly introduce the TechnologyCatalogue.com platform, and then I'm going to hand over to Dr. James Rickson, Head of Product at Epichem, and also with us here today is Colin Gallier, the CEO. If you have questions about it, please put them in the chat box. We will attend to them at the end, and if we don't cover anything for whatever reason, please just let us know. We will make sure we will reach out to you. There will be a wrap-up email, content slides, everything will be provided. And if anything comes up, please also just let us know. So with that, let me quickly start my presentation. So TechnologyCatalogue.com is a web platform where we connect suppliers, tech experts, and end users in the energy industry. If you were to find Epichem on our platform, you can go to the search mask. You can see the top with the red shape around it, or also at the bottom you can search per industry. If you want to browse a little bit, you can look through that. But let's say today we're looking for Epichem, so I'm typing it in, as you can see here, and it shows up immediately. And if I'm to click on that, it will bring me immediately to the profile. So in the green square you can see a quick description. That's how it works. Blue gives you a very brief overview in pros and cons. In the red box, you have a direct contact to the supplier, in this case, Epichem. You can visit their website. And if they have a webinar, like we're recording right now, this will also be attached to this profile. And if you scroll down on one click, you can see, or on view, you can see the specifications, relative business impacts, and you can reach out for information about who has deployed this technology already. Some companies choose to have this publicly, others keep it private. So please reach out to the supplier and you will get all the information needed. You're also welcome to reach out to us and we will answer all your questions. But that's pretty much everything from me. So I'm handing over now to James to tell us more about Epichem, Australia's leading premium chemical provider. And I'm looking very much forward to this presentation, James.
Cool. Thank you, Nico. So just to introduce myself, so I'm James Rickson. I'm from Epichem, and today I'll be talking about oxidative hydrothermal dissolution, an exciting technology that essentially it takes solid organic material, that's material made of carbon, and turns it into water-soluble products that have a variety of uses. So first of all, who are we? Who is Epichem? So Epichem, we're an Australian-based contract research organisation based in Perth, Western Australia, and we're a top employer of PhD graduates. So the vast majority of our chemists are all PhD educated. Many of them also have postdoc experience, and many of them have worked in the chemical industry for many years as well. We've won numerous awards, national and state export awards, and we're experts in synthetic organic and medicinal chemistry. We've done work for big pharmaceutical companies, biotechs, small startups, and we've done things in the material science space, as well as anything synthetic chemistry, and we do work for resources sector as well, with oil and gas and some mineral stuff where it intersects with organic chemistry. So essentially anything organic chemistry related, Epichem can do that and works in that space. So a bit more about oxidative hydrothermal dissolution, or OHD. So OHD is a novel technology, is environmentally friendly, and it converts macromolecular organic solids into low molecular weight water-soluble products by direct process based on oxidative bond scission. So essentially what this means is we take an organic solid and we put it through this process which uses high pressure and high temperature water with dissolved oxygen, and it breaks apart some of the bonds to give you, in the end, a solution of chemical products dissolved in the water. What's special about this technology, I guess, is by using water in the liquid phase and having no gas phase and all the oxygen being dissolved, what we get is some of those bonds being oxidized and the solid being broken down and solubilized without it going too far. If you have any gas phase, essentially what you get is just conversion of all the carbonaceous material to carbon dioxide, which is essentially just burning it. But in this process, where you eliminate any gas phase, everything's in the liquid phase, you stop it at that nice level where you've got low molecular weight chemical products all dissolved in the water. This process works on essentially all carbon-based materials. So whether that's biomass or coal, oil shale, bituminous sands, plastic, that can be waste plastics or anything essentially derived from petroleum-based products. So that's the majority of your plastics, and rubber, agricultural waste, and so on. How the OHD feedstock processing works is you have your organic solid, you make a slurry of that in water, and you put that into your OHD reactor. And at the same time, you're adding oxygen dissolved in water at high temperature and high pressure into the reactor. It reacts in a matter of seconds, so typical residence times are in the tens of seconds. All your solid material, all your carbon-based material then becomes dissolved and gives you the raw liquor. Any inorganic solids or inorganic materials tend not to dissolve, and they can be filtered and removed. The raw liquor from coal and from biomass works as a bio-stimulant, so that's, you can put it on crops and it stimulates fruiting and increases crop yields, and it also shows some protection against some diseases as well. That's the biostimulant route, which is just raw from coal and biomass. But of course, there's lots of different chemical products in there, in that raw liquor. You can concentrate that and you can separate it into different constituents. And of those, you've got platform and fine chemical products, oxygenated fuels. And for biomass, you end up getting the carbohydrates turning into like a sugar syrup or an OHD syrup. And then from primarily the lignins, you get a renewable source of petroleum type products, but based and generated from biomass. So just to recap and discuss a bit more about the oxidative hydrothermal dissolution. So it's a technically straightforward process. It operates at industrially feasible conditions and rates. So typical temperatures are around 280 degrees and pressures around 100 bar. It uses only water and oxygen. It requires no exotic solvents or catalysts. So I think the fact that there are other technologies that have tried to do similar sort of things, but they've generally been catalytic. And I think what's exciting about this technology is because it uses oxygen, it doesn't need a catalyst. So the bonds want to be oxidized in these materials. And so you can get away without using any catalyst. Whereas other ones, the technical challenges of catalyst poisoning and just using that catalyst, it can be difficult. So it's non-catalytic, which is a big advantage. It achieves like high to complete conversion of starting solids with high recovery of the carbon content. So essentially 70 to 90% of the carbon you put in gets turned into water-soluble products. It's inherently environmentally friendly. It produces little CO2, and the minor gaseous product is carbon monoxide. It produces no nitrogen oxides or sulfur oxides or problematic emissions. The feedstocks for the OHD process can be roughly divided into two sections. So you've got your non-biomass feedstocks and you've got your biomass feedstocks. So I've just divided them on two separate slides here. So our non-biomass feedstocks, we've got coal. So this process works on essentially all grades of coal. It works on oil shale and bituminous sands. And like I mentioned before, plastics and polymers, synthetic waste. So that's all your used plastics. That's all the microplastics and stuff that are causing the problems in the ocean. And there are many other waste streams. Essentially, if it's organic materials or derived from petroleum, it can generally be used in this process to give some sort of distribution of products. These products range from platform and fibre chemicals, bio-stimulants, in the case for coal, particularly brown coal, and liquid fuels. There's potential for these products to be upgraded, for example, by hydrogenation to high energy liquid fuels. And there's a question here, like, is there some synergy with existing synthetic fuels and related technologies? So because we're taking a solid, putting it through the process, and you get everything in the end dissolved in water, that opens up a lot of chemistry that can be done in solution on those products. So I think there's a lot of potential for various processes once dissolved. Moving over to biomass. So feedstocks for this include wood and energy crops, agricultural wastes. So that's things like corn stover, bagasse, wheat and other straws, municipal wastes that are biomass derived, such as cardboard, paper, green waste, and cotton-based textile wastes. So that's old clothes made from cotton and jeans, things like that. And there are various other waste streams from industry that are also biomass derived. From biomass, the products can be roughly divided into two sections. So there are the cellulose derived products, which is essentially a sugar syrup, and that syrup or mixture of sugars can be fermented to give bioethanol, which is essentially cellulosic ethanol because it was originally from cellulose. There's also potential there for anaerobic fermentation to produce biohydrogen, and there may be other uses for that sugar syrup in terms of microbes or feeding that to insects or microbes to generate different end products. The other main component of biomass is lignin, and the products from lignin in this process, you get a lot of vanillic acid and vanillin and hydroxybenzoic acids, and those compounds can be used to make green and biodegradable plastics and polymers. And also that mixture of products can also be used as a biostimulant in the same way that it can from coal. So that's it for my presentation. So I would like to open it up to questions now, and I'm excited to hear some of the stuff you guys have got to ask, essentially.
Yeah, great. Thanks, James, for that. Yeah, please, if you have questions, put them in the chat box, and we will attend to them now. And maybe while the questions are coming in, one question from my side, James, would be, where do you think the application of this technology has the biggest potential?
I'm really excited by the technology in its ability to process biomass. So I think all around the world, we're looking at transitioning from fossil fuels and things like coal and petroleum-based plastics. And I think we're looking at new technologies to process biomass and to use those as a renewable source. So I think there's a lot of potential there for biomass, both in the plastics and polymers, fine chemicals space, but also I think this technology is a potential breakthrough in cellulosic ethanol formation.
Okay. I see one question. Thank you, James. I see one question coming in from Renate Kramer. What are you looking for? I'm not entirely sure I know what you mean with that question, Renate. If you could maybe clarify that. And for the moment, maybe we jump to the next one because another question just came in. What is the difference with wet air oxidation, which destroys the organic material?
The wet oxidation that destroys the organic material. I think I'm not exactly sure what that's referring to, but I did mention if there's any gas phase that essentially burn the material and it will convert it all the way to carbon dioxide. In this process, if you're removing the gas phase, it stops it at that low molecular weight range where it's a water soluble kind of fine chemical type product.
All right. So Pierre-Emmanuel, if that answers the question, if you would like some more information, please just let us know for a follow-up. I see Renate Kramer just clarified. She says, do you need somebody for the further development or pilot projects? So that was the question. What are you looking for?
Okay, cool. So there's a few potential ways we can work together on this. So we are a contract research organisation. So you can work with us and we can help develop the process for you and research perhaps your feedstocks or something like that. But we are also looking to potentially develop some more of our own processes. And yeah, Colin, did you want to have some input on that as well?
Yeah, thanks, James, and thanks very much for the question. So our intent is to develop and accelerate commercialization of this intellectual property. This intellectual property is patented and protected, and then the intention is to create an opportunity for countries right around the world to use this technology, both in terms of oil and gas, mining, and the resource sector, as James mentioned earlier, but also in the recycling and waste space as well. So there's a number of discussions that are taking place at the moment with regards to a series of stakeholders who work in that space around using this technology, not only to convert a series of biomass, feedstock and waste into some marketable verticals, but also to see what else can be created as a result of this technology. So it's a really good question, and more than happy to have that discussion further offline if required.
Great. And I see another question here, which might, I think, fit quite well here from Martin. Could you elaborate a bit on the energy balance? So what's the KPI CTQ figure of merit in this respect?
I don't have those kind of figures off the top of my head. We do have that kind of analysis done, but I'm not super familiar with that. The process itself is exothermic, so it does generate some of its own heat, and in the process you essentially need to have everything heated up to go into the reactor and then cool it down at the end, and you can recirculate some of that heat through heat exchangers and things like that. I'm not sure if that's technically exactly what you were after, but hopefully that at least helps answer that question.
Great. Okay. And in the meantime, also the clarification came in from Pierre-Emmanuel. So WHO, so the wet air oxidation, he says, is a chemical destruction of difficult material. It is like a wet incineration. So I wonder how you manage to transform and not destroy the organic material. So that was the add-on to the earlier question.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that technology and how it differs. I know with our technology, you don't get much gaseous products, and 70 to 90% roughly is converted to water soluble organic molecules. Typically from 150 molecular weight up to dimers and trimers of that, particularly with the sugar material. Yeah.
So I think that's also one of the perfect situations to just go onto the website technologycatalogue.com and reach out if you want to have more information about it. In this case, Pierre-Emmanuel, you can contact them directly if you want to have a further discussion on that. But in case this is not answered, but yeah, thanks for that, James. I think we have answered the questions from the chat box. If somebody has no question, please type them in. Maybe from my side, another one I personally would like to ask was, so in the OHD, so how can the products be separated in the processing?
So in terms of products from many of the coal sources and the lignin-derived products, they can be esterified and distilled, and that seems to be quite an efficient way to purify these products. It's certainly industrially feasible in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. And I think I see the chat box is so far answered. But one question we got in an earlier webinar this morning, or well, earlier today, which I found quite interesting, was relating to biodegradable plastics and the application there. So maybe you could speak to that, because I thought that was quite an interesting point.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of movement to move towards biodegradable plastics, and I think with using biomass and the lignin portion of biomass to produce biodegradable plastics is huge potential. So typically the vanillic acid and those type of molecules, because they're derived from nature, like bacteria and stuff already have the enzymes to break those down. So those kind of fine chemical feedstocks derived from biomass tend to generate more biodegradable plastics. And I think there's huge potential there.
All right, great. All right, thanks for that, James. I see one question came in, which is from Nassim. So what is the price of this technology?
Yeah, so Nico, I'm happy to answer that one there. So thank you. Thanks for the question. I mean, from our point of view, it depends on the scalability of the project. So our intention is to provide the intellectual capability and expertise and the consulting capability for the clients who want to engage in this technology. So we have a large number of oil and gas and mining organisations and recycling organisations that are looking to use this technology in their respective fields. And what we'll do is we can quote up those projects, depends on the size and scalability of those projects and what's looking to be achieved. Because, for example, we know, as James has presented this evening, with regards to the conversion of coal, but there's a large number of exciting biomasses that we haven't had a chance to test yet. So there may be an opportunity to expand our product and service offering along with the clients moving forward.
All right, great. Thanks very much. I think in the meantime, actually, a question came in which fits quite nicely with what you just said, Colin, where Paul is asking about a brief overview of the current status in terms of pilot projects, because he's asking from a land forest manager with huge amounts of forest biomass material that can be sourced sustainably.
So I think that's a really valid point, really valid question from Paul. I think, look, at the end of the day, for us, we're very open to working in partnership to progress and accelerate the commercialisation of this technology. So a lot of the work that's been undertaken thus far has been done in the coal industry, and a lot of the coal industry was very much involved in financially supporting the projects in the US initially. And now we've seen that expand out, because not only is from a coal perspective, but as James alluded to, the rubbers, plastics, just to name a few, are some of the products that we're looking to be involved in this technology. We even had a client a few weeks ago drop in some hemp that they wanted us to consider as well. They've dropped off some hemp fibers that they would like us to use this technology on as well. So it's exciting space. So more than happy to have those discussions offline and talk in more detail about those opportunities. But I think, we're very excited by the technology, but also the chemists at Epichem are also excited by some of the things that we don't know. Example, what are some of the products and what can they be converted to? And that's an exciting space for us to be in.
Great. Thanks very much for that. Also for Paul, this presentation will be made available? Yes, we will send all the content, all the slides, all the details in a wrap-up email in the following days. And I hope, Paul, that also answers your question. I think, again, great to directly contact Colin or James. You can do it through, as I said, TechnologyCatalogue.com. Reach out directly to supplier, give them a call, give them an email. I'm sure they'd be happy to have that conversation with you there in a bit more detail. And then the question I see now from the team is coming in, is there a timeline for addressing the price structure for this technology? Maybe, again, for you, Colin?
Yeah, so pricing is going to be based on what is the scalability of the project by clients. So more than happy to have that discussion with Nassim offline from that perspective, because obviously with this new novel disruptive technology, there's been a lot of discussions based on scalability. So some clients, like the oil and gas and the mining clients, would like to have a large scale model where people can actually license the technology and license the consulting expertise of the Epichem chemistry team, who can then guide them along that process. Depends on what they're trying to achieve. But both from a point of view of building a flow reactor technology model, something that James may have alluded to in his presentation, was we use flow reactor technology to promote this, which is then a scalable model that we can then introduce based on the client requirements and client needs.
Yeah. Great. So I think here again, Nassim, best to reach out directly. Through the platform, you can contact them. I see that all questions are answered so far, I think. So I guess this is a good point to wrap it up. Thank you, James. Thank you, Colin, so much for being here. I mean, it's quite late over there in Australia, so even more I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for the great presentation. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, wherever you are in the world at the moment. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. You will get all the information soon from us. And I wish you, James and Colin, a very good evening, and everybody else a great day wherever you are. And stay healthy, stay safe.
Yep. Thanks, Nico. And thanks very much to the audience.
All right, guys.
Thanks. Cool.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.